Hello, welcome to the Learn English Lab. I'm Mike, and I am so excited for our deep dive today. We're going to be talking all things social media with the fantastic Sarah.
Hey everyone, it's great to be here.
So imagine you're just, scrolling through your feed, right? And all of a sudden, everyone is talking about this new trend, and they're using slang you've never even heard of,
Right.
referencing memes that you just don't get.
Yeah.
It can feel like you need like a whole new dictionary just to even keep up. But what if I told you this is actually an amazing opportunity to improve your English skills?
Oh, it totally is. Social media is like this living, breathing language lab. You get exposed to real, everyday English, the kind you just won't find in a textbook.
Yeah. And that's what I love about it, right? It's not just about learning some boring, dry vocabulary. It's about understanding the culture,
Yeah.
the humor, what's relevant right now in the English-speaking world. And let's be honest, who wouldn't want to be able to confidently chime in on those conversations and connect with people all over the globe?
For sure. And the best part, it really doesn't have to be overwhelming. So let's just start by unpacking some must-know terms. So when we talk about a trend, we're talking about something that is popular on social media. And then we have viral, which basically means something spreading super fast online.
Okay, trend and viral. Got it. But how do things even become trendy? It feels like something new pops up like every other minute.
Yeah.
What's the driving force behind all this?
Well, there's this really interesting thing called the algorithm. It's kind of like this behind-the-scenes code that determines what you see on your feed, that stream of posts on your homepage. It's based on your activity, what you like, who you follow. It's like having a personalized content curator, for better or for worse.
So it's not just random chaos. There's a method to the madness.
Yeah, definitely. And a big part of what the algorithm picks up on is something called engagement. And that's basically all the likes, comments, shares that a post gets. So the more engagement, the more the algorithm thinks, hey, people are loving this, let's show it to even more people. And bam, you've got a potential viral trend on your hands.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. So it's kind of like a popularity contest for content.
Yeah, it is.
And speaking of popularity, what about those folks who seem to be at the center of every trend, the ones with millions of followers?
Those are the influencers. And they have a massive impact on what becomes popular. Their posts, their recommendations, even just their fashion choices can spark trends.
So it's not just the algorithm calling the shots. There are real people influencing what we see and talk about.
Oh, absolutely. And then there's this whole other layer of communication, memes. And memes are those funny images or videos that seem to encapsulate a shared feeling or experience. And those can spread like wildfire.
Oh yeah, memes definitely are a language of their own. It's like an inside joke for the whole internet, right? But with so many platforms and so much content flying around, where do we even begin?
A good way to kind of break it down is to think about each platform's personality. So for example, Instagram is very visual. You've got your photos, your reels, those aesthetically pleasing feeds.
Yeah.
It's where you go for travel inspiration, fashion trends, that whole influencer culture.
I am definitely guilty of spending way too much time on Instagram, especially for travel ideas. But what about when you want to join in on those fast-paced, real-time conversations? The kind that are buzzing with opinions and hot takes.
Well, that's where Twitter shines. It's all about short, snappy updates, hashtags galore, and those kind of fiery debates that can just erupt in the comments.
Yeah.
And of course, memes are huge on Twitter. They add that touch of humor to even the most serious discussions.
Yeah, I admit I do get lost in Twitter threads sometimes. It's like a never-ending stream of information, opinions, and of course, memes. But what about when you want to share something, more personal, like those life updates or longer videos that everyone's talking about?
Well, that's where Facebook comes in. Facebook's more about connecting with friends and family, sharing those life events, joining groups with shared interests, and, yep, those viral videos that seem to circulate forever.
So it's kind of like a digital scrapbook of your life, sprinkled with news articles and those videos that your aunt keeps sending you.
Pretty much. And then, of course, we have YouTube, which is a whole other world of long-form content. Vlogs documenting people's lives, tutorials teaching you everything from baking to coding, and those reaction videos that can be weirdly captivating.
YouTube is definitely my go-to for learning new things and just relaxing with some fun content. So we've got all these different platforms, each with its own vibe.
Right.
But how do we actually jump into conversations about all of this? It feels like there's just so much to keep track of.
Don't worry. It's easier than you think. The key is to start simple. So instead of feeling pressured to know every single slang term or meme format, start by asking open-ended questions. Like, for example, you could say, have you seen any interesting trends on social media lately? Or, what's your favorite platform and why?
Oh.
These are great conversation starters because they just invite the other person to share their world with you.
It's like saying, hey, I'm curious about what you're into. Tell me more.
Exactly. It just shows you're interested and willing to listen. And it's not just about asking questions, it's about sharing your own observations too, you know?
Okay, yeah.
You could say something like, I've noticed that mention a current trend is really popular right now. What are your thoughts on that? You know, that shows you're paying attention to what's happening online and invites the other person to share their perspective.
Right.
Like, it's all about creating that back and forth, that genuine exchange of ideas.
Yeah.
And don't forget to use, like, current examples. You know, you could ask, did you see that latest TikTok dance challenge?
Right.
Or, I can't believe how quickly that video went viral. What's your take on it?
It's about bringing those trends to life, right,
Yep.
in your conversation. But what if you want to go beyond just asking questions and start expressing your own opinions about these trends? How do you navigate that in English?
Okay, well, that's where some key phrases come in handy. So, to express your likes and dislikes, you can use phrases like, I'm really into mention a trend or platform because, or I'm not a big fan of mention a trend or platform because.
Okay, so you're not just stating a preference, you're giving a reason. You're adding that extra layer of explanation.
Yeah,
I like that.
exactly. And to make it even more descriptive, you can add phrases like, I find this trend so entertaining, or I find it really relatable.
It's about finding those words that truly capture how you feel.
Yeah.
What about when you want to share, like, a more direct opinion?
Well, in that case, you can use phrases like, in my opinion, or I think. So, for example, you could say, in my opinion, this trend is a little overrated because. Or, I think this platform is great for sharing news because.
It's about confidently stating your perspective. But what if you don't understand something or need further clarification? It can be intimidating to admit you're lost, especially in a fast-paced conversation.
Oh, don't be afraid to ask. It shows you're genuinely interested in learning. You can say, what does mention a term mean? Or can you explain how mention a trend started?
Yeah, there's no shame in asking for clarification. It shows you're engaged and that you actually want to fully understand.
Exactly. And when it comes to agreeing or disagreeing, there are some great phrases you can use to navigate those conversations respectfully. Because let's be honest, social media can get a little heated sometimes.
Oh yeah, things can definitely get intense in the comments section.
So to express agreement, you could say something like, I totally agree with you. Or, that's a great point. And if you disagree, you can try, I see things a bit differently. Or, I'm not sure I agree, and here's why.
That sounds so much better than just saying, you're wrong.
Yeah.
I like how these phrases encourage, like, respectful dialogue, even when opinions differ.
It's all about expressing your viewpoint while being mindful of the other person's perspective. But remember, conversations are a two-way street. Listening is just as important as speaking, especially when it comes to those fast-paced social media trends in English.
So true. Sometimes it feels like you're trying to drink from a fire hose,
Right.
with all the information and the slang flying around.
Yeah.
What are some tips for becoming a better listener in those situations?
One of the biggest tips is to focus on keywords. So pay close attention to words like viral, hashtag, meme, because those will help you grasp the context of the conversation.
It's like those words are the puzzle pieces that help you see the bigger picture.
Yeah, exactly. And if you miss something, don't hesitate to politely ask for repetition. You could say, could you repeat that, please? Or can you explain that again?
It's so much better to ask than to pretend you understand and then feel completely lost.
Oh, for sure. And here's a fun tip. Watch social media content in English. Whether it's videos, reels, or stories, just immersing yourself in that world will get you used to the language and the tone used in those online spaces.
It's like training your ears to tune into the rhythm of, like, social media English.
Exactly. And finally, remember to practice active listening.
No.
Nod, smile, and use phrases like, I see, or that's interesting.
Okay.
These little cues show the speaker that you're engaged and following along.
It's about being present in the conversation, not just like passively listening.
Yeah.
But you know what I find really helpful for practicing these skills?
What's that?
Role-playing.
Oh, I love role-playing. It's like a dress rehearsal for real-life conversations. It allows you to build confidence and fluency in a safe and supportive environment.
Exactly. So what kind of scenario are we going to try out first?
Let's imagine you're at a party and you overhear someone talking about a viral video that's been making the rounds online. It's a video of a cat doing something incredibly funny or talented. I'll be the person you overhear talking, okay? Ready to give it a go?
Bring it on. Let's see if I can seamlessly insert myself into this conversation.
Okay. Pretends to be talking to someone else. I mean, have you seen that cat video? It's absolutely bonkers. I can't stop watching it.
Smiling and approaching the conversation?
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, but I couldn't help overhearing you talking about a cat video. I'm a sucker for anything feline related, so what's so special about this one?
Oh, hey. No, not interrupting at all. It's this video of a cat, like, perfectly balancing on a rolling pin while it's moving. It's hilarious and impressive.
Wow. That sounds incredible. Where'd you find it? I have to see this for myself.
It's all over social media. I think it was originally posted on TikTok, but it's been shared everywhere. You can probably just search for balancing cat, and it'll pop up.
I'm on it. Thanks for the tip.
No problem. I knew you'd appreciate it.
That felt so natural. I love how I could, casually join the conversation, express my interest, and even get some specific details about the video.
That's awesome. See? It's
Yeah.
easy, right? Just use those conversation starters, express your curiosity.
It really is. It's all about taking those small steps and building up your confidence.
Yeah.
But what about when you want to delve a little deeper into a trend, and really understand its significance?
Wow, that's a great point. Yeah. It's not just about knowing what's trending, it's about understanding why it's trending and what it says about our culture, our humor, even our anxieties.
It's like social media is a mirror, reflecting society's thoughts and feelings.
Right.
But sometimes those reflections can be a little distorted.
Right. That's where the fear of missing out, or FOMO, comes into play. Social media has this sneaky way of amplifying that feeling.
Oh, I know FOMO all too well.
Yeah.
It's like this constant pressure to keep up with every trend, every meme, every viral video. It can be exhausting. Why do you think social media has this effect on us?
Well, for starters, social media algorithms, they're designed to show you what's popular, what everyone else seems to be experiencing. So it's like you're seeing this curated highlight reel of people's best moments, carefully crafted to just grab your attention.
It's like everyone's living their best life online 24/7.
Right.
And if you're not doing something equally exciting or Instagram-worthy, you're somehow falling behind.
Exactly. And that can create a sense of urgency, a pressure to constantly be in the know, to not be left out. And it's easy to fall into that trap of comparing our everyday lives to those meticulously crafted online personas.
And that comparison can be brutal. You scroll through your feed and suddenly you feel inadequate, like you're not doing enough, experiencing enough, being enough.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people can relate to that feeling.
Absolutely. And that's where FOMO really takes hold. That nagging feeling that something more exciting, more fulfilling is happening elsewhere and you're missing out. It's a tough feeling to shake.
So what can we do about it? How do we avoid letting FOMO take over our lives? Because let's be real, quitting social media entirely isn't always realistic or desirable.
You're absolutely right. It's all about finding that healthy balance. And I think the first step is awareness. Recognizing that social media often presents a distorted view of reality. It's about remembering that those picture-perfect moments, they're just snapshots, not the whole story.
Like a carefully curated stage production.
Yes.
There's a whole lot of behind-the-scenes action that we don't see.
Exactly. And it's crucial to be mindful of how social media makes us feel. So if you find yourself constantly comparing, feeling envious, or experiencing that intense FOMO, it might be a good idea to take a step back.
Like a digital detox.
Yeah, precisely. Unplugging for a while, even just for a day or two, can help you reconnect with yourself, your own goals and values, and the real world around you.
It's about reminding ourselves that true fulfillment comes from within, not from external validation or, chasing trends.
Beautifully said, yeah. It's about finding that sweet spot between enjoying the benefits of social media and protecting our mental well-being.
Because social media can be a powerful tool for connection.
Absolutely.
And creativity and even learning, like we've been discussing. It's just about using it in a way that serves us, not the other way around.
Couldn't agree more. And remember, you're not alone in feeling this way. It's a common experience in today's digital age. Talking about these feelings with friends, family, or even a therapist can be incredibly helpful.
It's all about building a supportive community, both online and offline,
Yeah.
that understands these challenges. And it's not just about managing FOMO, it's also about appreciating how social media is shaping the English language itself.
Oh, for sure. Social media is constantly pushing the boundaries of language, creating new slang and expressions, and even entirely new ways of communicating.
It's like its own linguistic playground, and it's fascinating to see how it spills over into our everyday conversations.
Right.
So, what are some of the ways social media is changing how we speak and write in English?
Well, one of the most obvious changes is the rise of abbreviations and acronyms.
Right.
Think LOL for laughing out loud, BRB for be right back, or OMG for oh my God.
Yeah, those are practically universal now.
Right?
I use them all the time.
Yeah.
Both online and offline.
Yeah.
It's like they've become like an integral part of our vocabulary.
Right. They've become so ingrained in our communication that we just use them seamlessly across contexts.
Yeah.
And then you have internet slang terms that pop up and evolve at lightning speed.
It's like you need a decoder ring just to keep up with the latest slang.
That's the beauty of it, right? It's constantly shifting and evolving. What's lit today might be chuji tomorrow, so you have to stay on your toes.
Like a language puzzle that keeps you engaged.
Yeah.
But it's not just about individual words, right? Social media also plays a huge role in popularizing entire phrases and catchphrases.
Absolutely. Think about adulting or living my best life. These phrases capture a specific feeling or experience that resonates with people, and social media helps them spread like wildfire.
It's like a cultural shorthand, a way to express complex ideas in a concise and relatable way. And speaking of conveying meaning, we can't forget about the impact of emojis.
Oh, emojis are a language of their own.
Right.
Sometimes I feel like I can have a whole conversation using just emojis.
Right. They add this layer of emotion and nuance to our online communication. Like a single emoji can express a feeling, a reaction, even a whole thought.
Yeah.
It's amazing how much meaning we pack into these little symbols.
It really is. And it's fascinating to see how the meaning of certain emojis can even change over time or across different cultures.
But with all this linguistic creativity happening online, does it ever spill over into our, offline conversations?
Absolutely. It's inevitable that the way we communicate online influences how we speak and write in other contexts. We might find ourselves using internet slang, abbreviations, or even emojis in face-to-face conversations.
Oh, I've definitely caught myself doing that. Sometimes it feels like my brain is wired for, social media speak.
It's a natural consequence of spending so much time immersed in that digital world.
Yeah.
And while some people might worry about it corrupting language, I think it's more about language adapting and evolving to meet the needs of its users.
Language is alive, constantly changing and growing, just like the online world itself.
Exactly. And it's something to embrace. Learning these new ways of communicating can actually make your English more dynamic, expressive, and relevant.
It's about being in tune with the evolution of language and having fun with it. And now that we've explored how social media is shaping the way we speak, let's get back to those role-playing scenarios to practice actually speaking.
Great idea. Let's try a scenario where you're chatting with a friend about a new meme format that's been popping up everywhere. I'll be your friend in this scenario. Ready?
Absolutely, let's do it.
Hey, have you seen those me explaining to my dog memes? They're so funny.
Oh my gosh, yes. I saw one earlier today where someone was explaining quantum physics to their pug.
Oh, yeah.
And the dog's expression was just priceless.
Right. It's such a simple concept, but it's so relatable. We've all been there trying to explain something complex to someone who just doesn't get it.
It's like a universal experience perfectly captured in meme form. I think the humor comes from the juxtaposition of the serious explanation and the dog's clueless expression.
Totally. And it's amazing how quickly these meme formats catch on and become a shared language online.
It's like everyone collectively decides, this is funny, let's all run with it. And suddenly you see variations of the same meme everywhere you look.
It's pretty amazing how creative people can be, especially when it comes to memes. They can take a simple idea and turn it into something hilarious and relatable.
I love how those memes can spark conversations and create connections.
Yeah.
It's like finding common ground through humor and shared experiences, even if those experiences involve explaining complicated things to our pets.
Well said. And remember, even if you don't always understand every meme or slang term, the key is to stay curious, ask questions, and embrace the ever-changing landscape of social media and language.
Absolutely. It's all about being open to learning, having fun with it, and connecting with others through this dynamic and evolving form of communication. And I think that's a perfect note to wrap up this deep dive on.
I agree. We've covered a lot of ground today, from must-know vocabulary and platform personalities to the psychological impact of FOMO and the creative ways social media is shaping the English language.
And we even got to practice those conversational skills with some fun role-playing scenarios. Remember, the more you engage in these conversations, both online and offline, the more confident you'll become.
That's right. And don't forget to explore social media for yourselves. It's a fantastic way to stay up to date on the latest trends, learn new vocabulary, and connect with people from all over the world.
So if you enjoyed today's deep dive, don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel for more awesome English learning content.
Thanks for joining us, everyone.
See you next time. Hello and welcome to the Learn English Lab, a place where we, kind of like break down language and learning one trend at a time. I'm your host, Mike, and today we're diving into something that's like absolutely blowing up the language learning scene. TikTok English.
Interesting.
I'm super curious to explore how these viral trends can actually help you level up your English skills.
I'm Sarah, and I'm thrilled to be here. It's fascinating how a platform known for entertainment can be such a powerful tool for language acquisition.
It really is. So let's get right to it. Why is TikTok such a fertile ground for English learners?
Well, I think it's all about those bite-sized videos. You know, they're short, they're engaging, and they're really easy to digest. Instead of feeling overwhelmed by like a long lesson, you're getting these little bursts of learning that fit perfectly into your day. Think of it as like micro-learning, snackable content that keeps you coming back for more.
Okay, that makes sense. But isn't it mostly just, silly dances and memes?
Yeah.
How does that translate to actual language learning?
Well, that's part of the appeal. It's not stuffy textbook English, it's real living language. TikTok creators use everyday English slang expressions you wouldn't find in, traditional learning materials. You're getting a taste of authentic communication, the kind you'd hear out on the streets.
So it's like eavesdropping on a conversation between native speakers.
Yeah.
You're picking up the nuances and the natural flow of the language.
Yeah, you could say that. And it's not just about the audio. You've got visuals, captions, and the whole context of the video. It all works together to create this richer learning experience. You're not just hearing the words, but you're seeing how they're used in real-world situations.
This is already making me rethink how I look at TikTok. Okay, so let's say I'm scrolling through my feed. What are some trends that would actually be helpful for learning English?
Let's start with the Tell Me Without Telling Me challenge. People describe something without explicitly saying it, which is a fantastic way to practice descriptive language and figure out meaning from context clues.
Oh yeah, those are great. I've seen those and they're hilarious. What else have you got?
POV videos are another good one. Point of view creators act out scenarios from a specific perspective, like POV, you're at a job interview in English. Talk about relevant vocabulary practice. It's almost like immersive theater for language learning.
That's brilliant. It's like taking those dry role-playing exercises from textbooks and making them actually fun and engaging.
For sure. And then you have Get Ready With Me videos,
Yeah.
where people showcase their daily routines. Think about all the verbs, phrases, and everyday language you can pick up from those. It's a goldmine of practical vocabulary.
So it's not just about passively watching, but actually participating and trying these trends out yourself.
You got it. Join the trends, create your own videos, even if it's just mimicking what you see. Putting those words out there, speaking and engaging with the language, that's where the real learning magic happens.
Now, I'm sure there are some people listening who are a little hesitant to put themselves out there, especially if they're still learning English. What advice would you give them?
I think it's totally understandable to feel that way, but remember, everyone starts somewhere. The beauty of TikTok is that it's a very supportive community. People are generally encouraging, and they're not going to judge you for making mistakes.
It's all about progress, not perfection.
Right, 100%. And remember to have fun with it. The more you enjoy the process, the more you'll stick with it. And that's what ultimately leads to fluency.
I'm loving this new perspective on TikTok. It's not just a place for entertainment. It's a language learning playground. But let's be real, not all TikTok trends are created equal. Some are pure silliness,
Yeah,
right? How do I know which ones are actually worth my time as an English learner?
that's a great question. You want to look for trends that encourage interaction and expose you to a variety of language. Think about trends that involve storytelling, role-playing, or explaining concepts. Those are going to be more beneficial than just watching someone dance, although those can be fun too.
Right. So for example, that Tell Me Without Telling Me challenge we talked about, that's a good one because it forces you to think creatively and use descriptive language, right?
Absolutely. And those POV videos are fantastic for learning how to express yourself in different situations. It's like you said, immersive theater for language learning.
I'm definitely going to be using that term.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got the trends down, but what about actually participating?
Oh.
I know some people might feel a little intimidated to put themselves out there, especially if they're still learning English.
It's perfectly natural to feel that way, but remember, everyone starts somewhere. The great thing about TikTok is that it's generally a judgment-free zone. People are supportive and encouraging, and they want to see you succeed.
And the more you practice, the more confident you'll become.
Absolutely. You could start by leaving comments on videos you enjoy. That's a great way to practice your writing and interact with other users in a low-pressure environment.
Okay, that's a good starting point. But what about pronunciation? I know that can be a big concern for English learners. Is TikTok helpful for that?
You know, it actually can be. Pay attention to how native speakers pronounce words and phrases and then try to imitate them. You can even record yourself saying the same words and phrases and compare your pronunciation. It's like having a personal pronunciation coach right in your pocket.
Wow, that's a game changer. And the best part is you can do it all at your own pace and in the comfort of your own home.
Exactly. There's no pressure, no deadlines, just you and your phone exploring the world of English through TikTok.
This is incredibly encouraging. I feel like we're really starting to see TikTok in a whole new light. It's not just a platform for entertainment, it's a language learning playground. And speaking of connecting with others, are there any specific types of creators that English learners should follow?
Absolutely. You want to look for creators who are engaging, clear speakers and who use a variety of vocabulary and grammar structures.
Yeah.
Think of them as your language mentors on TikTok.
And it doesn't hurt if they're entertaining too, right? Learning should be fun.
Of course, learning should be enjoyable. Find creators who make you laugh, teach you something new, and inspire you to keep practicing your English. That's the key.
This has been so insightful, Sarah. I feel like I've learned so much about how to use TikTok effectively for language learning. But before we wrap up, I have one final question for you. What's your biggest piece of advice for English learners who are just starting out on TikTok? What would you tell them?
My advice is to be bold, be curious, and most importantly, have fun. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there, try new things and make mistakes. That's how you learn and grow. And above all, enjoy the journey.
That's fantastic advice, Sarah. I think that's a perfect note to end on. And to all our listeners out there who are ready to take their English to the next level, TikTok is waiting for you. So go ahead, download the app, find some trends that spark your interest, and start learning.
And remember, we're here to support you on your language learning journey. So feel free to share your TikTok experiences with us in the comments below.
We'd love to hear about your favorite trends, your biggest challenges, and your proudest moments. And if you found this deep dive insightful, we encourage you to give us a like. Share it with your fellow language learners, and subscribe to our channel for more fascinating explorations into the world of language.
Until next time, happy learning.
And see you on the TikTok. Okay, we've talked a lot about trends and participation, but let's dive a little deeper into the nitty-gritty of language learning on TikTok. What about things like pronunciation and expanded your vocabulary? Can TikTok really help with those aspects?
Oh, absolutely. For pronunciation, TikTok is like a treasure trove of examples. You know, you can listen to how native speakers pronounce words and phrases, pay attention to their intonation and rhythm, and then try to mimic them. You can even record yourself saying the same things and compare your pronunciation side by side.
So it's like having a personal pronunciation coach, but without the awkwardness of having someone stare at your mouth while you try to say squirrel correctly.
Right. And for vocabulary, the possibilities are endless. TikTok exposes you to this vast range of words and phrases used in different contexts. You'll encounter slang idioms, phrasal verbs, all those little bits of language that make English so colorful and expressive.
It's like a vocabulary buffet, and you can pick and choose the words and phrases that you want to add to your plate. But how do you make sure you actually remember all these new words and phrases? Does TikTok help with that too?
It definitely can. One of the things that makes TikTok so effective for language learning is the repetition. You'll see the same trends, the same phrases, the same words popping up over and over again, and that repetition really helps to reinforce those words and phrases in your memory.
So it's like that old saying, repetition is the mother of learning. TikTok just makes it a lot more fun and engaging.
Yeah. And the more you interact with the language, the more those words and phrases become a natural part of your vocabulary. Don't just watch the videos passively, actively engage with them. Leave comments. Try to use the new words and phrases you've learned in your own videos, or even just repeat them out loud to yourself.
I think that's a key point.
Yeah.
It's not just about consuming content. It's about creating and interacting. It's about making the language your own.
Absolutely. And don't be afraid to experiment and have fun with it. Try using those funny slang words you learned in a conversation with a friend. See if you can recreate a TikTok trend using your own words and phrases. The more you play with the language, the more comfortable you'll become using it.
Okay, so we've talked about pronunciation, vocabulary, and the importance of active participation. But there's another aspect of language learning that I think is really important, and that's cultural immersion. Can TikTok help with that as well?
It definitely can. TikTok is like a window into different cultures and perspectives. You can watch videos from creators all over the world, see how they live, hear their stories, and learn about their customs and traditions.
That's amazing. It's like traveling the world without leaving your living room.
Yeah, and it's not just about seeing different places. It's about understanding different ways of thinking and communicating. It's about broadening your horizons and developing a more global perspective.
I think that's so valuable, especially in today's interconnected world. But with all this talk about the benefits of TikTok, it's important to remember that it's still a social media platform. There's a lot of content out there, and not all of it is created equal.
What are some things that English learners should keep in mind when navigating the world of TikTok?
That's a great point. It's important to be mindful of the content you're consuming. Not every trend or every creator is going to be a good fit for language learners. Some videos might contain language that's not appropriate, or they might use slang or idioms that are too difficult for beginners to understand.
So how do you filter through all the noise and find the content that's actually beneficial for your learning?
It's all about being selective and using your critical thinking skills. First, pay attention to the creators you're following. Look for creators who are clear speakers, who use a variety of vocabulary and grammar structures, and who create content that is both entertaining and educational.
It's like curating your own language learning curriculum on TikTok. Exactly. And
Right.
don't be afraid to branch out and explore different types of content. Don't just stick to videos that are specifically about language learning. Watch videos about topics that interest you, whether it's cooking, travel, music, or anything else.
I love that. It's about finding the joy in learning and making it a part of your everyday life.
Exactly. And the more you expose yourself to different types of English, the more well-rounded your language skills will become. You'll start to pick up on different accents, different ways of speaking, and different cultural nuances.
Okay, so be selective, be curious, and embrace the diversity of English. That's
Yeah.
great advice. But before we move on, I have one more question about content. What about the whole issue of misinformation and fake news? That's something that's prevalent on all social media platforms, including TikTok. How can English learners protect themselves from that?
That's a really important question. It's crucial for language learners to develop their critical thinking skills and learn to evaluate the information they encounter online. Don't believe everything you see or hear on TikTok. It's about being a discerning consumer of information. Double-check facts, look for credible sources, and be wary of anything that seems too good to be true or that plays on your emotions.
It's like that saying, trust but verify. Don't just take things at face value. Do a little digging to make sure the information is accurate.
Right, and don't be afraid to ask questions and seek out different perspectives. If something doesn't seem right, or if you're unsure about a particular piece of information, look for other sources that can help you verify it.
It sounds like developing strong critical thinking skills is essential for navigating the world of TikTok, and really any online platform for that matter.
Absolutely. It's all about being an active participant in your learning journey, not just a passive consumer of content.
This has been such an eye-opening conversation, Sarah. I
Right.
feel like we barely scratched the surface of TikTok's potential for language learning.
I agree. There's so much to explore, and new trends and creators are emerging all the time. It's an exciting time to be learning English on TikTok.
Absolutely. It's a platform that's constantly evolving, which keeps things fresh and engaging.
And that's what makes it so effective for language learning. It's not a static textbook, it's a dynamic, living language laboratory in the palm of your hand.
I love that analogy, a language laboratory in the palm of your hand. It perfectly captures the essence of TikTok for English learners.
It's a space where you can experiment, make mistakes, connect with others, and have fun while learning. What more could you ask for?
I think you've hit the nail on the head, Sarah. Experimentation, connection, and fun. Those are the key ingredients to successful language learning, and TikTok provides them all in abundance.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's all about embracing the journey and enjoying the process.
Well, Sarah, this has been an absolutely fascinating deep dive into the world of TikTok English. I know I've learned a ton, and I hope our listeners have too. Any final words of wisdom for our audience before we wrap up?
My advice is to be bold, be curious, and have fun. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there, try new things, and make mistakes. That's how you learn and grow. And above all, enjoy the journey. TikTok is an incredible tool for language learning, but it's up to you to make the most of it.
That's fantastic advice, Sarah. And on that note, I want to thank you for joining us on the Learn English Lab today and sharing your expertise with us.
It's been my pleasure.
And to all our listeners out there, if you found this deep dive insightful, be sure to give us a thumbs up, share it with your fellow language learners, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more fascinating explorations into the world of language.
Until next time, happy learning.
And see you on the TikTok.